And Gideon made a cry for all of the men of Israel, and he called for 3 or 4 tribes, and they came together, 32,000. And when the 32,000 got there, God said, I can't deliver you with all these folk. You got too many. See, we get comfort in how many folk are with us. Honey, are you with me or against me? Yeah, that's the gang concept. Every gang feels confident when he feels I got more folk in my gang than you got in your gang. But God said that if I deliver Israel from the Midianites with all this host you got, years to come, centuries to come, you'll be talking about how Israel got up, rose up, and delivered herself. But I want you to know that the only way I can get glory, it's got to be done in such way where that you'll know you didn't do it with your numbers. And God cut down the number from 32,000. First he told all the cowards to go home. Thank God that we don't know who God's real folk are. The foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, that the Lord knows them that are his. And no way for me to look around this vast congregation and tell who's living right, who's saved, who's not saved, who's on the Lord's side. Because everybody come in dressed up. I told y'all last Sunday we have about 85% shouters, about 20 to 25% tithers. And there's no way for me to know who are really the people of God. But he knows. Gideon said, I want all the cowards to go home. You that just came, you in the number, but you know your heart will grow faint. 10,000 men got up and left him with 22,000. God said, you still got too many. So I'm going to have to hand pick them. Take them down by the brook of water. Let me see how they drink water. Said, now those that you see that laps water, even like a dog that's still looking but reaching down and getting a drink. Those that you see falling all off in the water, you can't use them. You get in trouble, they'll be lost drinking and eating and not watching for the enemy. So those that you see that lap, it's like a dog. You go over and put your hand on those and separate them. God said, I'm going to do it, and all I need is just a small handful. I want you to know that when God gets ready to do his thing in your life, you don't have to worry about who's not with you. Never seen so many folk whining and crying about who's turned on me and who did this and who did that and who did the other. You just don't know. Sometimes God is trying to separate. He's trying to separate until he gets a sincere number. You read the story of the healing of Jairus' daughter. When Jesus got to that house, mourners were all down the street. And he said, oh, the girl's not dead. Just sleep. And they laughed him to scorn. They stopped crying on cue. And Jesus didn't even take everybody that he had with him in the house. He left 9 of his disciples outside. Didn't take nobody in but Peter, James, and John. And then he took Jairus and Jairus' wife and he himself and walked into the girl's bedroom, and there she was lying there dead. She made number 7. The Lord couldn't work his miracle until he put the doubters on the outside. Sometime what God want to do in your life, he would have done it long time ago if he had disconnected you from some of the folk you hang with. Every time he got ready to bless you, you went and got your best friend. And sometimes your best friend is your worst enemy. And then a whole lot of times you can't pray by yourself. You got to have your prayer partner. And sometimes instead of P-R-A-Y-I-N-G for you, they're P-R-E-Y-I-N-G on you. Instead of praying for you, they praying. You don't know, a lot of time God has to strip everything and everybody away from you. And when he gets through stripping everybody away from you, he said, I brought you here where I could talk to you and let you know that the thing you're going through doesn't mean that I don't love you, but I only had to do that to get you to that personal relationship. God said, I don't want it to be nobody between me and you. Your present circumstance doesn't mean that I don't love you. Here are the disciples of the Lord. Sit down, y'all. I'm almost finished. Disciples of the Lord in the 9th chapter of John. They come upon a man that was born blind. And his disciples had some foolish ideas like many of us. Master, who did sin? This man is born blind. Did he sin or did his parents causing him to be born blind? Now anybody ought to know nobody could sin before they were born. So automatically the man didn't sin. But Jesus said neither his parents. He's not in the shape that he's in because of sin, but that the works of God would be manifested in him. In other words, Jesus said the only reason I let this man be born blind was so that I could open his eyes. And a lot of times the only reason God is suffering you to be in what you are in is so that he can have glory when he brings you out. I got to close. But that song that Andre Crouch wrote several years ago, many times I find myself singing it. Riding down the street in my car, but I hear myself saying, and now I thank God for the mountains. And I thank him for the valleys. And I thank him for the storms he's brought me through. Because if I never had a problem, I would not know that God could solve them. And I wouldn't know what faith in God could do. But through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon his word. And all I want to tell you today is, don't let what you're going through shake you. Don't let what you're going through make you feel like God doesn't love you. Because I hear him say, lo, I am with you. When you go through the waters, I won't let the rivers overflow you. When you go through the fire, I won't let the hair of your head be singed. And that's why David decided, I'm not going to let my circumstances get me upset, because I know the Lord, he is my shepherd. Yea, though I walk through the valley. Is anybody in here going through the valley? Shadows of death are everywhere, but I'll fear no evil, because I know I'm not walking by myself. I may have trouble, I may be in the fiery furnace, but Jesus is in the furnace with me. Ooh.